Imagine waking up tomorrow to a world that looks exactly the same. The same streets, the same people, the same routines. Cars move through traffic, phones buzz with notifications, and life continues as if nothing has changed. But beneath that fragile sense of normality, something has already begun. Not with an explosion, not with a warning, but with a single infection, a microscopic organism invisible to the human eye, quietly crossing from one host to another. No alarms, no immediate panic. Just a silent beginning unfolding in the background of everyday life. At first it is dismissed, a strange illness, a few isolated incidents, unusual behavior explained away as stress, fatigue, or coincidence. The world has seen outbreaks before and survived them. But this time, something is different. This is not just a disease that weakens the body. It changes the mind. It strips away reason and replaces it with something far more dangerous. Instinct, aggression, loss of control. And by the time the world realizes what it is facing, it may already be too late. Because the most terrifying part of this scenario is not the virus itself, but how quickly everything we rely on, order, trust, society, can begin to collapse. This is not just a story about infection. It is a story about transformation, about how civilization can unravel, step by step. And the question is not if humanity will fight back, but whether it can survive what it is about to become. This is the story of a world facing the impossible. The emergence of a real zombie virus. Something begins. On the first day, no one notices anything unusual. Just one person feels slightly unwell. A mild headache, a low fever, a sense of fatigue. Symptoms so common they are easily ignored. They go home, rest, assuming it will pass. But inside them, something is changing. By the second day, the symptoms worsen. The person becomes irritable, anxious, emotionally unstable. Small things trigger anger. Their behavior shifts in subtle but disturbing ways. Family members notice but assume it's stress or exhaustion. By the third day, the real transformation begins. The infected individual loses the ability to think clearly. Rational thought fades. In its place, aggression. Pure, uncontrolled aggression. They lash out, attacking anyone who gets too close. And just like that, the infection spreads. During the first week, only a handful of cases appear. Each one seems isolated. Strange, but not yet alarming on a global scale. Hospitals receive patients with similar symptoms. Doctors begin to ask questions, but they still don't realize what they are facing. By the second week, patterns emerge. Reports of violent behavior, unexplained attacks, victims showing the same progression of symptoms. The media begins to notice, cautiously reporting unusual incidents. Still, many dismiss it as exaggeration or misinformation. But the truth is far more dangerous. By the end of the first month, the virus has reached multiple cities. Governments begin taking initial measures, restricting movement, isolating suspected cases, attempting containment. But the virus is faster than decisions. Large cities become epicenters. Population density accelerates transmission at an alarming rate. Streets fill with panic. People try to escape, fleeing urban areas, unknowingly carrying the infection with them. At this stage, fear takes hold. Not just fear of the disease, but fear of each other. No one knows who is infected and who is not. Trust begins to collapse. As time passes, healthcare systems begin to fail. Hospitals overflow, medical staff are exhausted, overwhelmed, and increasingly exposed. Supplies run out. Some healthcare workers abandon their posts, driven by fear or survival instinct. The world begins to lose control. By the second month, the crisis becomes global. Borders close, flights are grounded, trade slows, then stops. Nations turn inward, trying to protect themselves, but it's already too late. The virus has spread almost everywhere. Power outages begin in certain regions, communication networks become unstable, food supply chains start breaking down. Panic buying turns into looting. Order turns into chaos. Now, the threat is no longer just the infected, but the collapse of society itself. Small groups of survivors begin to form. Families, friends, even strangers come together, united by one goal: survival. They search for safe shelter, clean water, and enough food to last another day. Meanwhile, the infected continue to grow in number. They move unpredictably, driven by instinct alone. They do not feel fear. They do not hesitate. After 3 months, the world is unrecognizable. Cities once full of life are now silent, abandoned. The sound of traffic is gone, replaced by wind, and something far more unsettling. At this stage, governments escalate their response. Military forces are deployed, entire almanatic are quarantined or destroyed in desperate attempts to contain the outbreak. The cost is enormous, yet some places manage to survive. Remote areas, islands, isolated communities that act quickly enough to seal themselves off. These become humanity's last strongholds. At the same time, scientists begin working under extreme pressure. In secured laboratories, they race to understand the virus. What is it? How does it spread? Can it be stopped? 6 months pass. The world is now in survival mode. There is no normal life anymore. Every day is a struggle. For food, for safety, for another sunrise. Survivors adapt. They create new rules. Never trust too easily. Avoid movement at night. Stay away from large almudden. Always have an escape plan. And still, hope remains. After a year, small pockets of civilization begin to rebuild. Communities organize themselves. Basic systems return. Governance, resource sharing, even education for children. Scientists make slow progress. Perhaps they develop a treatment that slows the infection. Maybe even a vaccine that prevents it. But producing and distributing it in a shattered world remains a massive challenge. Now, a deeper question emerges: can humanity ever return to what it once was? The answer is uncertain. The old world is gone, but a new one is beginning. People have changed. They are more cautious, sometimes more ruthless, but also more aware of what truly matters: safety, food, human connection. The smallest things now carry the greatest value. Years later, the virus may be contained, perhaps even eradicated. Cities might be rebuilt. Technology could return. Life might continue. But the memory will remain. The memory of the early days, the fear, the loss, and also the memory of courage, of unity, of the will to survive. In the end, this scenario reveals something essential. Human strength is not only in technology, but in resilience, in adaptation, in the ability to stand together when everything falls apart. And perhaps, in a world like this, the most important question will no longer be, how do we live? But rather, how do we remain human in a world that has lost its humanity? After everything was lost, humanity did not disappear. It changed. What once was a world defined by speed, noise, and endless connection became something quieter, smaller, more fragile, but also more aware of its own existence. At first, survival was the only goal. Finding food, finding shelter, protecting those who remained. Every day was a question of endurance, not progress. But slowly, something began to return. Structure. Children began to learn again, not in schools filled with certainty, but in small rooms built from memory and necessity. Words were written by hand. Lessons were passed from person to person, not through systems, but through hope. Communities formed where isolation once ruled. People rebuilt not just homes, but trust. They learned to share again: water, food, knowledge, and responsibility. Outside, nature continued its quiet work. Where cities once stood in steel and glass, green began to grow again. Streets turned into soil. Silence replaced traffic. And life, in its most natural form, returned to places that had forgotten it. This was not a return to the past. It was something else, a different kind of beginning, because the world that came before could not be rebuilt exactly as it was. Too much had been lost. Too much had been understood too late. But in that loss, humanity discovered something it had nearly forgotten: that survival is not only about strength, it is about adaptation, about cooperation, and about the choice to continue. Even when everything that once defined civilization has already fallen away, and so from the ruins of the old world, a new one did not rise overnight. It grew slowly, quietly, human by human, day by day, until what remained was not the end of the world, but the beginning of another.